Resuming debate, the honourable member for New Brunswick Southwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd also like to thank my colleague for sharing his time from Sydney, Victoria, and his very, very hard work, certainly the flavor that he adds to our International Trade Committee and the members around this House and one of my colleagues opposite there. It's been a committee that is, I would say, truly Team Canada, has stood together, and committee members that really understand the significance of trade, that is not as much a partisan issue as it is a Canadian issue that is real to every Canadian. So I'm pleased to rise today to discuss the importance of this piece of legislation. As the member for New Brunswick Southwest, a member of the Standing Committee on International Trade, a certified international trade practitioner, a former professor of international trade, I truly understand the importance of creating trade opportunities. I've been proud to work with our government to secure trade agreements such as CIFTA, CPTPP, and CETA. Mr. Speaker, securing these trade agreements is vital to our Canadian economy. Exports and imports make up 60% of our economy. Our competitiveness depends on diversification and opening up new emerging markets, as well as ensuring the continuation of free and fair trade with our current partners. We know, Mr. Speaker, that when we are able to make markets more accessible, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, we are able to grow our economy. We have worked hard over the last 3 years to diligently diversify Canadian markets abroad, and the results speak for themselves. 14 new trade agreements with 51 different countries and a market of 1.5 billion consumers. Canadians now have preferred access to 2/3 of the global market, but our work isn't done yet. Our government has also launched the Export Diversification Strategy, which will increase Canada's exports by 50%. The strategy will directly support Canadian businesses by investing in infrastructure to support trade, providing Canadian businesses with more resources to reach overseas markets, and enhancing trade services for Canadian exporters. We've also worked with Canadian companies to ensure they are able to take full advantage of the trade agreements secured by our government. Mr. Speaker, I was pleased when the International Trade Committee accepted my motion and studied supports for small to medium-sized businesses. One of the things we heard many times was how important free trade agreements and export readiness supports are to small and medium-sized businesses. Without the supports, many, if not the majority, of small first-time exporters are not exporting in their second year. Under the previous government, export readiness available through the Trade Commissioner Service was cut back to serving companies already established overseas. This left small businesses unable to access well foreign markets with ease, and ensured that big businesses were the only ones able to profit from free trade. Our government has reversed those cuts, ensuring that small businesses are able to benefit from free trade. We are increasing our exports and ensuring that any Canadians with global ambitions are able to access the supports they need to create wealth and jobs. Removing regulatory barriers to trade is essential for small and medium-sized businesses to be able to export. CUSMA has done exactly that, ensuring Canadian businesses will be able to trade freely in North America. Mr. Speaker, I represent the riding of New Brunswick Southwest. We are, as my colleague from Sydney, Victoria mentioned, a border riding, and in fact we have 5 international border crossings. In New Brunswick Southwest, we understand the importance of ensuring free trade in North America. Our jobs and economy depend on it. Many of my constituents cross the border multiple times a week for their jobs, their groceries, to visit family and friends, and without the close cooperation as a result of free trade agreements and border alliance agreements, this would not be possible. When the United States imposed illegal tariffs on our steel and aluminum, my riding was concerned about an escalating trade war. This is something they had never experienced. St. Stephen, a border town where my office is located, closely connected to Calais, Maine, was particularly worried about these tariffs. These 2 towns share more than just a border. They also share fire services, and residents will cross that border daily. Both mayors were concerned by the tariffs that were put in place, but I'm happy to say that our government has reached a deal to end those illegal tariffs. Mr. Speaker, that was great uncertainty in my riding. During the NAFTA renegotiations, workers and their families were concerned for their jobs, their businesses, and their clients. In my province of New Brunswick, 90% of our foreign exports go to the United States. Ensuring that New Brunswickers maintained access to that market was critical, and we have delivered. CUSMA will ensure that New Brunswick will be able to trade freely for decades to come. Mr. Speaker, Canada is now the only G7 country to have free trade agreements with every other G7 country. Canada's unprecedented access to the global market has allowed us to act as a springboard between the trading partners. By securing both CETA and CUSMA, Canada is now able to facilitate trade between Europe and the United States. This is an excellent opportunity for Canadian companies to expand to broader markets, and become part of the global supply chain. In fact, my riding, where it's located on the coast of Maine, is actually a springboard between the United States and Europe. Modernizing NAFTA has been a welcome opportunity for Canada. We've been able to gain protections for Canadian workers, create opportunities for Canadian business, and protect the environment and labor. While many across the aisle have called for us to back down, we held firm. Our government fought for a new NAFTA and got a deal that was good for Canadians. We did everything in our power to protect jobs, create more opportunities for Canadian workers and their families, and ensure the growth of our economy, and it has paid off. By modernizing NAFTA, our government has been able to deal with new challenges that were not present when the deal was originally signed. Issues like e-commerce and intellectual property rights in the digital age have now been addressed. In CUSMA, we were able to obtain labor guarantees in Mexico that ensures the fairer treatment of workers. CUSMA will see labor standards and working conditions in all three countries improve and protect those vulnerable from being denied based on their gender, their pregnancy, or their sexual orientation. CUSMA will also ensure the workers' rights are protected and includes commitments from all three countries to protect the right to freedom of association and collective bargaining. This will include specific legislative actions that will be taken by Mexico to recognize the right to collective bargaining. Mr. Speaker, we did not stop at labor rights. We have also ensured that CUSMA includes a robust chapter on the environment to ensure that it is protected. CUSMA includes commitments to enforce environmental protection laws and address marine pollution. We have included obligations for all three countries to combat illegal wildlife trade, illegal logging, and illegal unreported and unregulated fishing. 2 minutes, thank you. CUSMA also promotes sustainable forestry and fisheries management, including a commitment to prohibit subsidies that negatively affect fish stocks. Our government has also secured innovative fishery commitments to prevent the use of explosives and poisons, and a binding commitment to prohibit the practice of shark finning, a first for Canada. These are important issues in my riding. My constituents care deeply about the well-being of the environment, and many of our industries rely on it. I am proud to see our government has fought for strong environmental protection. I was proud to be part of the team that has secured a new and better deal for the future, a deal that protects middle-class jobs, allows small businesses to grow, and protects labor and the environment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.